Hope you're all doing well on this September day. Hello. I say hello to everybody. Just give me a quick check if you can hear me, if you can see me. If the buffering starts, I'm sorry, I'm on my phone, so there's not much I can do about it. But Spike says hello, and he hopes you're all okay. So let me know how you're doing. Have you had a good day? Have you had a bad day? Hopefully you've all had a good day, and hopefully this live will help you have an even better day. Hi Trip, I saw you have asked a few questions, so I have made a note of them. There are some that I am not able to answer, but I will answer some of them, the ones that I can answer. Sorry guys, my glasses are really filthy. Just let me give them a quick clean. I can't see. It's from when I run. The sweat just pours down my face. Obviously, I've had a shower and a wash since then. So let me know if you can hear me, guys. Let me know that you can see me. I can see myself on my videos, on my computers. So if you are watching, please give us a like. Please subscribe to the channel. Just a bit of sort of housework to start with. If you are going to comment, please be polite. And I'm not sure if any of my mods will be on, but I'd like to keep it open to some of the people who have differing views to us, as long as they are polite in the chat and are not swearing or shouting at other people in the chat. Shout at me. Don't shout at the people in the chat. I've got big shoulders, I can handle it. And that's part of what I want to talk about today. So I'm still not seeing any comments coming up. So please, if you can, let me know that you can hear me and see me. Although I think I did start a little bit early today, so I'm not sure. I can hear my cat doing things. It's Thorn. He's shredding a cardboard box. I have about 6 or 7 cardboard boxes on the floor in the living room because he likes to sit in different ones at different times of the day, and they're all different sizes. So he actually likes boxes that are too small for him, and he likes to get in them, and then they sort of collapse. But I think he likes that feeling of, you know, being held tight probably from when he was kitten and the fact that he was a stray. So he has a habit of sharpening his claws on the boxes, even though there is a massive cat tree in the house that they can sharpen their claws on. But also I have a wingback chair that I sit in. It was my granddad's, and it's covered with a blanket because it's shredded from the cat. They all like to sharpen their claws on there. So I wanted to talk about what women experience on a daily basis from men. Not all men, obviously. Hi Pete, it's lovely to see you. Thank you for letting me know that it's loud and clear. I'm not sure, I know there's a delay on the time that I'm speaking as to when you hear it. So yeah, if you've just tuned in, fantastic. So I'm going to talk about the things that women experience when they are dealing with men online. And again, I want to say it's not all men. I want to say thank you to all of you. I think Stephen went and commented, and there were a couple of other people who went and commented on the vitriol that I was getting on the flag shagger video that I did. I'm still receiving some on there. That's okay. I don't mind. I don't delete the comments. I don't delete anything. If YouTube decides to delete them, it's nothing to do with me. I have set up certain words that I don't want it to see. Those go into my held comments, and then I go and approve them from there. There is only ever one comment that I did delete, and it was really derogatory. However, there is a comment on there at the moment where somebody wants me hanged, and I'm leaving that on there. there's a bit of evidence as to the kind of trolling that we experience as women on when we are trying to talk about these kind of issues. Because a lot of men don't want to listen. A lot of men still want women to be in the kitchen, still want women to be, you know, prim and proper, and yet they don't. So there's a lot of hypocrisy around that. So I'm going to get into that in a bit. But Trip, I don't know if you are watching, so I'm going to wait and see if you pop a comment up, because you've asked some really interesting questions there. And as I say, some of them I can answer, some of them I will have to research as possible topics for the future. And yeah, so we'll have a chat about them in a little while. But if you are watching, guys, if you can let me know what, you know, guys, women, my trans women friends, my trans men friends, whoever's watching, if you can let me know what you've experienced as derogatory remarks or comments from men specifically. So some of you men, and some trans women and some trans men may have received vitriol from women, and I accept that that does happen. But what I'd like to find out is what vitriol or horrible comments or horrible encounters have you had with men? And going right through, you know, to childhood, to school years, to, you know, bullies in classes and that kind of thing. I'd be interested to find out what you've experienced. You don't have to share, obviously. Some of it will be very triggering. And I just wanted to, you know, let you all know that I've had many experiences. Some of it has been triggering. But it's funny, I had a phone call yesterday with a lady from Criminal Injuries Helpline. There was something that I was trying to pursue. And obviously I had to give her a whole lot of history of things that I'd gone through. And she said to me, "Are you sure this is okay? You don't mind talking about it? It's not too triggering." Hi, Elle, lovely to see you. She said, "Are you okay? It's not too triggering." I'm like, no, it's not. It is. I have been working through these issues for 3 years, 4 years. I don't even know how long it is now. And I sought psychotherapy. I went to a therapist, and I was lucky that my mum paid for that for me because I couldn't afford it at the time. And my therapist was amazing, and basically she inspired me to start studying psychology. So that's what I'm doing, and I am aware of issues that I have gone through in the past. They no longer trigger me. They are things that happened to me. They are experiences that I had, and I can take that and help other people who have gone through or are going through those experiences, and hopefully help them in the future. Of course, my experiences were from a man. So, as I say, I'd be interested to find out what your experiences have been if you are a man or a woman, a trans woman, a trans man, and what you've experienced as, you know, in your life as bullying or negative energy or vitriol from men. Elle, let me know what other channel is on. Who am I with? Because I tried to not be over other people. That was my aim, was to not be over other people. Bin Podcast. Bin Podcast. They've got the thing coming up, haven't they, at 7 o'clock tonight? Who's going to be watching that? I don't know if anybody's doing a live, maybe the Bin Podcast are, but tell the Bin Podcast that I say hello to Mikey and to Scott and whoever else is live on the Bin Podcast. I can't go over there and raid them, but yeah, I do apologise for being at the same time as them. I'm going to have to get hold of them and find out what time so that I can go live at a different time, because obviously they've been going longer than I have with lives, I think. So I just don't want to step on anybody's toes. you know, because everybody supports everybody. You know, we all support each other. That's Regan Elite, obviously. That's Graham, that's Phil, that's Max, that's Aid, that's Super Tansky. Did you see Super Tansky last night? She was awesome. That's so many of us on these channels that just share and you know, follow each other. And I mean, there's Political X, there's Alex, there's oh goodness, I can't remember everybody. You know, there's so many channels that Daily Blase. There's what's his name? He lives in France now. Shorts, all shorts. I watch a guy called Political Custard as well. I quite enjoy his stuff. It's very short, very sweet, but very succinct. And then I watch a lot of my paranormal stuff as well, and my true crime channels and stuff. And that's one question that Trip asked, actually, which I think I'll talk about first before I talk about the men issues, see if anybody comes up with that. Thanks, Elle. Me do my thing. Sorry, I've forgotten what I was going to say now. Mobile phone addiction, that's it. Trip asked about mobile phone addiction. I can honestly say that I am addicted to my mobile phone. However, I see a lot of people when I'm out, especially the younger generations, and I'm not saying all of the younger generations, but I know that, you know, when mobile phones first came out, I didn't want one. I really didn't want one. I didn't want to be contactable. However, the work that I was doing back at the time, I needed to have one for my job. So I got one, and it was the old Nokia with the pull-up aerial, the squarish one. You know, so the battery life lasted forever, but there was nothing on the phone other than really calls and text and, you know, a clock and a game. I think it was Snake. I used to love Snake. Hi, Kirsty. Lovely to see you. Thank you for joining me. Snake. Yes, it was Snake. I used to love that game. Used to love that game. It was so easy. And so I had a range of Nokias after that. But I do find myself having my mobile phone in my hand while I'm watching TV in the evening after I've eaten my tea. And it's really bad because I'm not focusing on the program. So, you know, I do watch a lot of my YouTube stuff on my phone as well. If I'm sat in front of the TV, I watch it on the TV. I've also got games that I play. I mean, I've got two phones. I've got the one that I'm live on, and this is one of my old phones. It's broken at the bottom, but it has my Kobo app on, so I can read. And it's got a few other apps on that I like to use that I've not transferred over to my new phone because my new phone is already full. Because I've got a Word app on there so that I can have a look at certain things that the university send me and so on. So yeah, I do think that mobile phone addiction is really, really difficult. I mean, I use my mobile phone for my Strava app when I go running. And I use that to keep, because it keeps me, I actually pay for my monthly subscription now. I didn't used to, I used to just use the basic app. But because I've become more serious about my running, I am using that, and it helps me a huge amount. It gives me so much more in-depth information about, it tracks me, you know, on so many different things. So I do enjoy using my Strava app for that. And as well, I belong to a couple of running groups like the Cats Protection group on there, and, you know, a couple of other local ones, and also a lot of runners that I know in different areas around the country and indeed around the world. I've got some friends in Oz who I follow, some friends in South Africa, obviously, who I follow. They follow me. A couple of friends in the States, one in Canada. So yeah, it's always good to have that, those sort of, you know, those connections, because you get tips, you get hints, and you get kudos, you know, like, well done, you actually did this in a better time, and so on. Kirsty, it's crazy how much we use phones. I'm astonished at the amount of time I'm on it every week. Yeah, me too. I was actually on hold before I came live with DWP. I was on hold for an hour, and I had to put the phone down. I'm like, you know, I need to go live. So that was doing its thing while I was putting my makeup on, and it was just, yeah, I don't want to be on hold for that long. I mean, I know the call's free, but it's chowing up my battery. I did have it plugged in at the time. I try and get my battery as charged up as I can before I go live. I've also got a connector for, you know, an additional connector for phone and microphone and stuff, so for charger and that, so that I can plug in. I have noticed that I am playing less games now than I used to, and I think that that's a good thing for me. You know, I've got two sort of important games that I play, but the one I'm just, yeah, I just don't have time to play it anymore. It takes up a lot of time. And then, like, I like playing sort of mindless games. You know, those screw games where you have to take the screws out of the building and, you know, to get rid. I like stupid games like that. And I also play Bus Out, where you have to put the people into the coloured buses. They're just mind-numbing, just something to do, you know, when I've got nothing else to do. Hi, Stephen, lovely to see you. You're not at home, but jumping on to hit the like button. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet of you, Stephen. Thank you. I was actually talking about you, if you're still listening, about the lovely comment that you went and made to that person who was giving me derogatory, horrible, vitriolic comments on the video that I released last week. And I am going to be talking about some of those comments as well, because some of it's progressed and it's quite interesting. I'm also going to be recording some videos later on this evening as well that I want to release this week. Topics that I've been wanting to talk about for ages, and also new topics. So I have a huge backlog of stuff that I would like to discuss and put out on video. Some of it obviously is triggering, but, you know, that's obviously for people who want to watch that. And then there is other sort of stuff as well. So yeah, this addiction to our mobile phones, even now I'm recording on my mobile phone, but I don't have any other means of doing this live. So, you know, it's a difficult thing to get away from. I still do have a landline, and I do use that for certain calls. But yeah, how do we stop using our mobile phones so much? I know there's a tracker on my phone that tells me how long I've been on the phone, like you've been using X amount more than you did last month and so on. But my phone bill is the same. I use mobile data, and I've got a pretty decent monthly package. So I'm not, you know, it's like 20 quid a month that I pay on my phone. And I bought the phone direct. I didn't buy it on a, you know, on a contract or anything like that. I just didn't want to do that. I prefer to choose what I want to choose. No, Elle, your what you shared last time wasn't heavy. Well, not for me. Not for me. I'm used to helping people who have heavy histories, who have gone through a lot of stuff. So don't feel that, you know, if you want to discuss it on here, you are more than welcome. Just put TW before your comment so that anybody else can just skip over that. Sorry, I need to take a sip of water. So yeah, how do we stop using our mobile phones as much? I mean, you know, you've got to have a mobile phone if you need to do stuff with the government. And it's like, I was sat every month. I have a journal. I have two journals. One that I write in that's just like, you know, my thoughts that go blur. And then there's one that I call it a bullet point journal. So it lists all the things that I need to do for the month. I give myself a daily target. I give myself, you know, a calendar, all the sort of things that I've been doing. Also my running, I track my running there as well. Yes, I know it's on my app, but I like to keep a record so I can visually see it in the way that I want to see it. Various other things that I put on there as well. So I was going through that earlier, excuse me, yesterday, and sort of going through all the things that I need to do. And yeah, I see that I've still got a lot of things to do this month that I had to do last month. And so that's a bit frustrating. But I find putting things down into that journal really do help me keep on top of things. I also keep a record of all of the stats from YouTube. I will get to the point where I will do it on my computer like Phil does, because I know he's very into his stats like that. I just haven't got the time at the moment, so I just use papers and I sort of write down, I basically write down the viewership, the, viewership and likes on videos to see what people watch the most. You can track, from which country people are from, ages of people. You can track male and female, and it's also got a space for other as well. So if somebody wants to identify as other, so I do keep a record of all of those things as well, just to see how my channel's doing. And the views, they've changed it now. It used to be daily views, and now it's monthly views, and they've changed a few things, but it's okay. It's pretty much the same. And then it shows me how many subs I've got and how many people have been watching that are not subscribed and how many have been watching that are subscribed. So I do sort of, Tans has just put something up. What was that? Can anybody show me? Hang on, maybe I can see it on this phone. Bear with me. Because I don't want to step on people's toes. Oh, it's the video that she was talking about putting up last night. Okay, so I shall give that a watch afterwards. So don't forget, guys, to follow Super Tansky if you enjoy. I think she's hilarious. And I love her cats. I cannot have my cats in this room with me because you will see a bum. And you don't want to see a cat's bum. Let's have a look. Witchgoth, I will defend any time. Oh, thank you. These men are just pathetic. They are, but there's one comment that I am going to read that was quite interesting. I'll come to that in a bit. Yes, it's the video with Rylan. Yeah. Witchy, in the future, I hope to share one-on-one in a non-heavy way once you establish a way. Yeah, I've got the email address. I need to sort that out. It's been something that just see the cat star bomb. Yeah, Goblin. She does it. She just turns her ass to the camera, and you don't want to see it because she never cleans it properly, and it's gross. And then she walks all over the keyboard, so it's just no good. Your cat sleeps on the end of the bed while you're watching YouTube. One of mine, when I'm watching YouTube in bed, I lie on my side and I lean the phone there, and then I've got my other phone, and she snuggles here with me, and then another one snuggles on that side of me, and then sometimes just walks over, and then there's one at the end of the bed, and then Florrie doesn't like to be with people, so she stays in her spaces, but sometimes in the middle of the night she'll come because she wants scratches, because she's missing her back legs, so she can't scratch on the left side of her body. So if she's got an itch on that side of the body, she comes to me and I have to scratch her. And then Thorn, he just comes along when he wants food, but obviously he's the one with diabetes at the moment. It's going well. It is going well. So keeping my fingers crossed that we're going to have to change the dosage of the insulin when we see what happens at the end. I think it's on the 17th I go back, so I'll let you all know what's happening then. So Elle, yes, coming back to the email address, I will sort that out this week. I do have to get hold of DWP tomorrow, and I do have a doctor's appointment on Thursday, which I'm probably going to try and reschedule for a couple of weeks' time. Just so busy this week, and because I'm training as well for my race on the 14th. So I've got a training plan written down that I need to do. Sounds like the kitties have me well trained. Oh, yes, they do. They definitely do, Kirsty. They are menaces. They really are. All of them are pains. They're all, but I love them. I wouldn't have it any other way. definitely wouldn't have it any other way. My little one, my princess, I call her Princess Buttercup. Her name's Buttercup, but I call it, she's got her own pillow on the bed next to me. It's a cushion. It's like a satiny type of cushion. That's where she sleeps. And she has this beautiful little thing that she does that. You know, cats do that, don't they? And then she flops, and she has her paws up, and she wants her belly, you know, rubbing. And you can do that to her for ages, and she'll actually hold your hand there. She won't let you go. Yes, but she likes to show her bottom in public. Yeah, she does. They'll all be sat outside the door waiting for me because they get fed at 6 o'clock. So I do have to finish at 6. So coming back to the mobile phone usage, yeah, I do think that there's perhaps something that we need to look at doing there. And my mum, spoke to my mum earlier on today, and she has a cleaner that comes in once a week because my mum is she can hardly walk anymore. She can't see. She's, almost blind. She's got macular degeneration and glaucoma, so she really, really struggles with her vision. And, she can't bend down to pick things up anymore. She really struggles. So she has a cleaner that comes in once a week, and the cleaner had one of her sons with her this week because obviously schools only go back on Thursday, don't they? And she said he had his phone and he was playing with it. And my niece and nephew are the same, whenever I see them, they're always on their phones. And how do we stop using them? How do we get back to that one-on-one communication that we used to have? I don't know. So just coming back to some of the comments that Trip wanted me to talk about. I don't know where Trip is. He asked, or I'm not sure if Trip is a man or a woman, to be honest. I'm sorry, or if they're a they. I do apologise. Correlation between diet and racism. I don't know. I would need to check to see if there's been any studies about it. And I'd need to go onto the OU library, and that search could take me a while. So it's something that I can have a look at. But thinking about what most of the racists in this country eat is probably curry. I think the biggest issue when it comes to racism, you DM Trip as far as you're aware. Okay, thank you. No, I just don't, everybody has a right to identify as they identify, and he actually did ask a question about that as well, so I'm going to come to that in a minute. I thought Trip was a he. Maybe he's just got, because I know he partakes of the MJ, so yeah. Good for him. Wish I could. So yeah, I think the main issue when it comes to racism, well, a few of the main, these are just what I'm speaking about off the top of my head because I only saw these comments just before I came live, but I think poverty is a big thing. People in deprived areas are generally, I would say, more racist than people that are in a more sort of middle class environment, or middle class or working class. So I think poverty has a lot to do with it. Along with poverty comes diet and the food that they eat. I know that there are times when all I eat is beans on toast and eggs and things like that, depending on my monthly, money, because I am sort of in that place. I might not look it with all this crap, but I am. And so there is that food that they would eat. I think as well, parents, were the parents abusive? Were they single parents? That has a lot to do with it as well. Because don't forget, between the ages of 0 and 8, there are formative years. So what we see as children are the things that affect us for life. We can change it. It can be changed with sort of therapy, with working through it. But for example, if, a child sees their father hit their mother, they are going to perhaps repeat that action, there will be a level of fear, a level of terror that comes on. Let's say it's a boy and he sees his father do this. There's a couple of things that could happen later in life. It may be that the boy in his teens turns around and decks his father, or it could be that he becomes that. There's a lot of poverty diet in the sense that, if you are poor, you will eat a less balanced diet, and I go back to, UBI, that I think that everybody should receive a UBI, universal basic income, because I believe that everybody should have the basic rights of a roof over your head, food in your belly, water to drink, heating, and education. So, and I think that's another part of this as well, is education. I think a lot of children who grow up in poor areas don't attend school. They skive off school. And again, I think that it comes down to parentage, food, the type of people that they hang around with. And I'm not saying that everybody who comes from a poor background will experience that. Education and travel is a mind opener. Yeah. Stephen, probably eat curries. Yeah, it is the national dish of England. Now, personally, I've never liked curry. I used to eat korma, but it's too rich for me now, and spicy food and me do not get on. I do love my fish and chips, definitely love my fish and chips, but I only ever have it when I go to my mum's, because there's a great chippy next to my mum's. It's called Fish Loves Chips in Ainsdale, and I think there's one in Birkdale as well. I'm not 100% sure, but if you're ever in that area, Fish Loves Chips, absolutely brilliant chippy. They do great mushy peas as well. But I do think that education and travel is a mind opener, but when people are poor, their circle is limited. It is limited, very limited. And it infuriates me that we still have people living in those conditions in this day and age. It shouldn't exist, should not exist. You school your mum. We don't all repeat the pattern, as I know you know. Yeah, I haven't repeated the pattern. And yeah, I'm at that place now. My mum's 88, and she'll say something, and I'll say, well, mum, you can't be, and I'll try and say, this is, look into it on a bigger way. And she's like, oh. And even when we talk on the phone, she'll mention something that she's seen on TV, and she maybe, well, because she can't see properly, so she's heard it, but again, her hearing aids, TV full blast. She'll mention it, and then I'll Google it while I'm talking to her, and we'll have a discussion about it. And so, yeah, there's that education there as well, because when my mum was at school, it was during the war. She played truant a lot, and, she was lucky that my granddad at the time, my step-granddad, because my real granddad was unfortunately in El Alamein, I think, and he was killed during the war. I never met him, but my mum doesn't really remember him. So when my granddad Jack married my grandma, and he adopted my mum, and he was a big gardener and had an allotment, and he turned the entire garden into food during the war. He didn't go into the army because he was a lineman working on the pylons, so he was obviously needed at home. And my other granddad, he was a coal miner, so he was down the pit. Stephen, I was fortunate enough to have a mum, poor or not, no to racism, no to disability, negativity and bad manners. All our meals were cooked at home, outside eating reserved for special days out. Yeah, Stephen, it was the same for us as well. some days, you know, it was beans on toast, but we got school dinners then. I don't know if, you know, what the situation is now, because I don't have kids at school, so I don't know how that all works. But we would have our main dinner at dinner time at school, lunchtime, and then we'd have, you know, bacon and egg, beans on toast, or, you know, something like that for tea. But we were always fed. We never went hungry. Never went hungry. But sweets and stuff like that were not always available. And then my mum started working at a supermarket. It was called the Fairways. I don't know. I don't think it exists anymore. And so she would get discount on stuff, and we had a bit more of a sort of access to sweeties and things. But I remember as a kid eating bread and dripping, and I used to love that. And my mum used to, when she was a kid, they used to do bread with sugar on, and bread with hundreds and thousands on as well as a treat. Kirsty, interestingly, TV is accessible to most and mobile phones are becoming more common. Perfect medium for propaganda and keeping people scared and alone. Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. And the media, and I know that Graham talks about this a lot, and Phil, I think, as well, and Max, you know, is the fact that the media, I've said it before, if it bleeds, it leads. So whatever it is that is going to draw attention to people, you know, to people who are reading that, buying that, they will consume that media. The video that I put out on Friday, Flag Shaggers, that title drew people to watch that video. And so if, you know, it's like marketing. If you are marketing a product and you want to do a specific advertisement, it's how do you do that advertisement? When I had my own business, I used to do my own marketing, and I knew that I had to put it in certain magazines, on certain websites, on certain Facebook groups, you know, for my target audience. And unfortunately, the red tops, you know, the Sun, the Mirror, the Fail, are the newspapers that the poorer people buy. A lot of them, because of the racing stats on the back, the sports stuff. My dad was a gambler. He used to gamble on their horses. Not much, but he did. And so a lot of people who are, you know, living in poverty do gamble. You know, it is a way of keeping the poor poor. And as we've seen recently, Froggage and Tice and etc. are creating this environment to push the poor against the poor. So creating that division against each other. Sorry, I think that Elle and Stephen are having a conversation. So yeah, that's okay, guys. You carry on. So those, you know, and education is incredibly, incredibly important. I mean, we've seen some of the language and the way it's spelled on the, you know, the graffiti, spelling England with an I and with an R, Ingerland, and things like that. And it breaks my heart. It really does break my heart. And you know, I'm a bit of a grammar Nazi. And if I make a spelling error, I'm very upset with myself, and I will try and edit my comments. There's some things that you can't edit comments on though. So, but also, you know, my phone, thumbs. Because I use two different size phones as well. So the keyboard's the same, but it you know, one's smaller than the other. The TV perceived image of trans is wrong. I thought I support them, but how described is wrong. I definitely agree with you on that. Definitely agree with you on that. There was one woman in the comments that told me that I should support, I'm not a feminist because I support trans women. She was complete turf. And I was like, I have been using public restrooms with trans women since I was 14, and I have never had a bad experience. However, men, on the other hand, wandering into the ladies' toilets, oh, sorry, please, you know that they're going into the wrong toilets and that kind of thing, I have had issues with. So, yeah, I do think as well that a lot of the TERFs do not know any trans women. Yeah, I do know your reply about this, and I'm with you 100%, Elle, because I love my trans friends. They are more outspoken than a lot of my regular friends, so to speak. There was a thing that I was at last year. I think it was a gathering that I was at, a camp, and one of the blokes in the circle said, we all know what a woman is, and I just gritted my teeth. I thought, I can't. And the level of laughter was actually quite low. So, and I was new to this group, and I sort of like, he's not said anything since then. I think he realised that it actually wound me up, and I've mentioned trans women since then as well. And obviously, I'm part of the pagan community, and part of the pagan community is accepting of all genders, no matter what people identify as. In fact, that was a question that Trip asked as well. Is it illegal to identify as a cis male? Well, I don't think so. And if it is, then it shouldn't be, should it? If I wanted to identify as a unicorn, I should be able to identify as a unicorn. It's got nothing to do with anyone else but me. The story of a child identifying as a cat. It was probably a joke. That's the sort of thing that I would have said at school to get out of a lesson. These things are taken out of context so quickly. So yeah, I honestly think that if you want to identify as that, then you identify as that. There should be no law against it at all. Christianity has a lot to do with that, doesn't it? And what it says in the Bible. Obviously, I'm not Christian, but but also those passages, those chapters are misinterpreted as well. And there's, you'll get one in one passage being this verse, and then in the next book in the Bible, it says the complete opposite. But then again, I've always said that the Bible that we read today is not the original Bible, and there are no teachings in there from Jesus Christ himself. I do believe that Christ was a person. I do believe that he existed. I believe he was a very enlightened being. I believe that he met the Buddha. I believe that he, was able to transcend certain things. I also think that a lot of what he did was seen by the people at the time. They were poor, they were uneducated, as being, wow, they're miracles. I believe that he was a healer as well, and perhaps the healing that he brought to the people at the time was more to do with drinking proper water, fresh water, boil the water before you drink it, things like that are probably blown out of all context in these stories that appear in those books, and they were told in a way that the people at the time could understand them. Like threatening people that, Lot's wife turned around and she turned into a pillar of salt. I think that was more of a lesson, as don't look backwards, stay away from that kind of behavior. I hope I'm making sense, but I do think that Christ existed. I don't think he is the savior. I don't think that he is going to be reborn. I don't think that he was actually dead on the cross. I think that if he met the Buddha, Buddhist monks have this, and it's in the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying. So if you can get yourself a copy of that, where is it? I think I've got it upstairs, because I know I was looking for it the other day, so it must be upstairs. But in the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, Sogyal Rinpoche, he's the author, and he's a Buddhist monk, and he talks about when the Buddhist monks are dying, they get to a point of meditation where they slow their heart rate down. Huge amount of, can be 10 minutes, an hour between that heartbeat. And I believe that that's what Christ had the ability to do. That he had studied with the Buddhist monks, the 40 days, 40 nights in the desert, blah, 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 blah. I think that he did meet other, healers, enlightened people from around the world. And I do think that, that he was able to slow his heart rate down to such an extent that because the blood's not pumping around the body, it's not going to come out of the wounds, and that he, didn't die, but woke up from his deep meditation that he was doing. And then I just think that he decided to disappear because after what he'd gone through, who wouldn't want to disappear? Anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. You might think differently, and if you are Christian, please give your views on how your interpretation of the Bible is. Let's have a look. Comments here. I don't know paganism, but I bet TV get it wrong. They do. If you want to learn a bit more about paganism, have a look at Ronald Hutton, Professor Ronald Hutton. He's brilliant. You will have seen him in certain TV programs, but there's quite a few of his videos on YouTube. And then I can't remember the name of the film now. It was a documentary that was made back in the 90s, and it was by Starhawk and Margot Adler, who were both, I can't remember which university it was in America, but they were both professors of I think, humanities and religion. And they released a video which is very, very good for teaching, sort of the history of witchcraft and how the burning times and so on and so on. I will find a link to it and I will pop it on as a post on my page. I will find that for you because it is worth a watch. I've got it on DVD actually. It was something that just DVDs. Yeah, I still have DVDs. So those, Ronald Hutton, I've got a video saved on my to watch later list as well that I'll try and share as well. But yeah, he's really good at explaining. He doesn't call himself a witch or a pagan, but he follows those ways. Kirsty, I think it's great that people can be who they want and be happy. There is enough bad in the world and we all have to navigate it safely. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was called a LARPing witch, that I do live action role play as a witch. I am a witch. I'm a witch every day of my life. I have an altar. I light my candles daily. I cast my spells. For me, going out running is part of my magic. I'll actually do some videos on paganism. And maybe I can speak to One Angry Pagan as well, because he follows the Nordic pantheon. He follows the Nordic ways. I follow the Celtic ways. But we also have, the Egyptian ways, the Roman ways, the Saxon ways, the Greek pantheons, the Hindu pantheons. There's so many different, different African pantheons as well, going back to Ishtar and Inanna, the Sumerian beliefs and how those have passed down. So yeah, I might actually do a series on that. That's an idea. A series on history of paganism. I got books. Sorry, I'm just making a note. I have the books. I've been thinking of doing workshops about it as well. So that might be something that comes up in the future. I don't identify as a cat, but my cat's your power animal. Wonderful. Mine is a wolf. I am Wolf. My magical name is Wolf. Funny how all the Christian festivals are at similar times to the pagan ones. Well, there's a reason. When the Christians were trying to convert the pagans into Christianity, you will find that the vast majority of churches are found over old pagan sites. York Minster, for example, underneath the minster there are the, you can go down, there are the Norman sort of architecture is underneath, and then underneath that is the Roman architecture, and below that is where the pagans would, there's water underneath the church. Pagans generally would worship near water. Very sacred wells and so on, because water brings life and we all need water to live. And so the church would put their services, their sort of holidays around the pagan holidays to try to tempt the pagans into the church. For example, Christmas. Okay, so we celebrate Christmas on the 25th of December. Yule is the 21st of December. Generally, it's the 21st of December. However, numerically and astronomically, it may fall on the 22nd or the 20th. It depends. So, you know, the time of that, the birth of Christ, we celebrate Yule as the birth of the god. The god has died when he is harvested at Samhain, and then he is reborn at Yule. And that is the circle and the cycle of the belief system that Christianity uses is younger than older than Christianity. So paganism is older than Christianity, and that's why Easter, for example, the word Easter stems from Aostra, or Aostra, yes, which is Germanic, which meant spring and eggs and life. So all of this is, you know, sort of copied by Christianity, but to tempt and to get the pagans to go to church and to become Christians. Whereas when you look at the Nordic pantheons, the Vikings, 600, I think it was 600 or 800 years later that they began to convert to Christianity. One angry pagan will know better than me. So I can't remember if it's 600 or 800, but it's around that period. So, and a lot of people in the Nordic countries still are pagan. I've got quite a lot of friends that live over there that wear the Thor's hammer, and, you know, the various runic symbols are red. And we have our own symbols here in the Celtic pantheon known as the Ogham, which is spelled O-G-H-A-M, Ockham, but it's pronounced Ogham, just like Samhain is spelled S-A-M-H-A-I-N, but it's Samhain, which is a sort of alphabet that the Celts would use, but it would only be the Druids and the sort of more learned Celts that would use that language. And it's all based on trees. Witches of Scotland is an interesting website. Kirsty, I don't know that. I will have to have a look. Communities flock to water, but we all know this. Yes, we do. Stephen, you live in Glasgow. Pollock on the doorstep of Pollock Country Park, and there is a story of the Pollock witches, 3 witches. I was actually watching a movie last night. It wasn't a good movie, but I watched it because it was about the Witches' Well in Edinburgh. I don't know if it's a real Witches' Well. I think it is, because there was a plaque on the wall. So I'd be interested to know if that did exist and if she was drowned there. Elle, validate here with me. I'll be going out in a mo, but you're listening to. Oh, thank you, Elle. You're lovely. Hi, validate. Lovely to see you again. Stephen, Elle, I'll say goodbye just now, not doing any more socials tonight, but we'll catch you tomorrow. Yeah, I'm not going to be doing any more socials tonight. I've got so much stuff that I need to do. Put yourself forward, Stephen. I don't know what that is about, but so yeah, that paganism is older than Christianity, and the roots of paganism itself go far, far back to prehistoric times, really, when men would revere women, because women would bear life and they would bleed for 7 days of every month, but they wouldn't die. And so obviously there was no science, so this wasn't understood at the time. And women helped each other with the birthing process. Oh yeah, Tan's on Max's show tonight, isn't she? Yeah, I'll give that a watch. Ellen Validate sitting in a tree. Hi, Blah. I need to sort out that email address. I promise I will do it this week. I promise. So yeah, it goes back to that time when women were revered. Remember that movie, 13th Warrior? And there was the fireworm, and it came down, and they were more of a very pagan background where they worshipped the woman. And it's a similar sort of... oh, thank you, Stephen. Yes. If you would like to, I can do that for you now. So, yeah, women were revered for that. And magic was sympathetic magic. So let's say, for example, the tribe is going to go out the next day and they're going to go hunt. So they would dance around the fire, you know, making gestures of hunting and winning and being able to catch that animal. And that is sympathetic magic, in that they would use that energy, because it's all energy, and see themselves catching an animal for their feast, for their food. So it is really, you know, and that's what magic is. You know, people say, oh, how do I cast a spell? The first time you think you want to do something, that is the first part of the spell. It's your intention. So, for example, if I think, okay, I want to pass this exam, there's my first part of the spell. I want to pass this exam. And then I can take items to create a little spell to focus on. So a crystal, a feather, you know, write some words out, light a candle. You know, that correlation would be to the color that I want. So success would be orange and yellow and green. So I would probably use, as a crystal, I would use calcite, yellow calcite, possibly green aventurine, and a bit of carnelian as well, to represent those three chakras, because that is success that I want. And, you know, I would then burn that candle daily. But the main part of a spell, yes, you can do that, but the main part of the spell is actually doing the work. When I left South Africa, I cast a spell. And I knew that I wanted to leave, and it was the 11th of March, 2006. And I decided, right, that's it. That morning I woke up and I'm like, right, I'm moving back to the UK. So I had a big map of England, the UK. I had a map of the area that I was living in, you know, like a road map, street map, because obviously this is back then when we had street maps. We didn't have, you know, GPS. I had a phone, but like I say, it was something that was not really used often. And I had a postcard of Stonehenge. I still have that postcard. I went to Stonehenge when I was a kid. We had a school trip and I bought that postcard then. Anyway, so what I did was I took the two maps and the picture of Stonehenge, the postcard of Stonehenge, and I took drawing pins, stuck them in where I wanted to go, and took red thread to connect them. And I would then go and light my candle every day and say, this is where I want to be. But then I started actually making the plan. So I started with, right, okay, I need to sell my property. I need to get rid of all my stuff. I need to start packing. I need to start planning where I'm going to go. So there's the practical side of it as well. And that spell basically enables you to see where you're going to sort of make it happen. It's the intention that's there. Where in South Africa was I? Well, I lived in Benoni, which is where Charlize Theron is from. I didn't know her. And that's just outside of Johannesburg. So I did spend a lot of time in Joburg, but I also lived in Cape Town for a couple of years. And one of the jobs that I was doing, I travelled around the country a lot. My sister lived in Durban, so I used to go down to Durban a lot, but I've driven all over South Africa and flown all over South Africa for the job that I was doing. So it was, oh, sorry guys, my alarm.
It's currently 18.
To feed my cats has just gone off. Sorry, I should have turned that off before I started. Yeah, so I went to Bloemfontein, Ladysmith. I never went to Kimberley. I've been up to Petersburg, Palabora, so many different areas in South. I went to from Cape Town. I've been along the Garden Route, which runs up the east coast. So you go to George and Knysna and East London and Port Elizabeth, and then up to Durban and upwards. So yeah, I've visited a lot of places in South Africa, and the Kruger Park as well, Nelspruit. Yeah, the Kruger Park. If I ever go back on holiday, I will go on another safari. It's just, that's the most amazing thing. Kirsty, you sure you met me there many years ago? Kirsty, did you ever go to the Doors nightclub? Because I worked at the Doors nightclub for a while. Hi, dears, lovely to see you. Yes, he's a spanner. He's a spanner. It's cat food time. Yeah, I know it's 6 p.m. And I will have to go in a minute. Sorry. Kirsty. Your name does ring a bell. Yep, you did. Then you will have known me. I had blonde hair. I was the chick that was always headbanging on the dance floor. Used to drink and smoke. I used to sit, if Old Marshall Street Doors, I would sit upstairs by the bar upstairs. And I started at 5 Diz. And in Edenvale, used to sit, you remember downstairs, they had the bar downstairs. Used to sit there when you could smoke. And then they stopped smoking. That was the no smoking area. So went to the second bar upstairs. It's okay, Doors Edenvale. Yeah. I must have met you there, Kirsty. Are you on Facebook? I'll find you on Facebook and add you on Facebook. Yeah, that's really, really interesting. How bizarre is that? The couch that everyone slept on. Oh, that was the one at the top, wasn't it? Up at the top. No, I never slept on there. Never slept on there. I used to spend a lot of time on the roof as well. Just a manic Tuesday. Absolutely a manic Tuesday. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I didn't get to talk about all of the things that I wanted to talk about. I had a whole load of stuff lined up, but ended up talking about other stuff. So I will be going live again on Thursday. I think on Thursday it'll be 6 p.m. Donald Trump Brews Day. Yeah, I want to see what happens with that as well. See if he is actually, popping his clogs. It's still not that big, beautiful day. And that's how you lurk, Trip. So you've been watching. I did manage to cover a few of your topics. There's still some here that I will talk about, especially the criminals. Should MPs be allowed to be MPs if they have a criminal history? I don't think they should. I don't think they should, because it is a job where they are dealing with people. And if you have a criminal history and you are working with vulnerable people, in your DBS check, it shows up. So I do think that all MPs should have a DBS check. You better get prepared. Thanks, Diz. I love this. I love this. I really do. It's like on Reagan Elite's show this morning, we were talking about dolls because, oh yeah, I wanted to mention this about little Tommy 10 Names. He, I can't remember which councillor it was, wants a statue of Tommy in every town, village, council, whatever. And I said, oh, we can use an Action Man, you know, because it's little. It's just an idea. And then we started talking about dolls. There shouldn't be allowed to be an MP if you have over £1 million. Absolutely agree with that, blah. They're working for the people. You know, they're working for the people. And yeah, we need people who are people, not these elites that pretend that they're people. Oh, Starmer is a tool. Yeah, well, he's a tool because his dad was a tool maker. Yeah. You have a spanner on the bin. Ella's more spanners than handy person be handy. I don't have a spanner, actually. I need to get one. I don't want to, you know, moderate on anybody's show. That's not for me. I lurk like blah. I sometimes watch and put 1 or 2 comments up, but because obviously I go for my runs and stuff as well. That's enough about spanners and tools. Think about the PM's father. Call me a communist, but those with the means shouldn't lead those who don't. I agree. Is it communism or is it socialism? I know that Phil and Graham had a massive debate about it on Friday, didn't they? They were getting quite heated there. Yeah. I don't think it is. I don't think it is communism. But yeah. Yeah, he made a tool, he became PM. Just call me 4 spanners, my kingdom for a meme. Guys, I have to go because I have to give Thorn his injection with his food, and I don't want to miss that because I don't want to make him poorly. But I will be back on Thursday. I am thinking about going live on Wednesdays, but it depends on, because I need to get my mate to come around and fix my strimmer because it broke, and I can't fix it. So I need to find out what day he's free on. So yeah, but I will definitely be here on Thursday. Definitely Thursday. Let's have a look. Did we conclude left or fight? I don't know. Stephen, thanks, Witchy. Another good show. Thanks for the company, guys. You are the best. Keep sharing the love. Oh, thank you. Yes, all keep sharing the love. Blah says, thinks it is communism, power to the people and all of that. Absolutely. I don't know if it is or not. I'd have to do a little bit more research into that from my own perspective. I'm not, you know, I don't have the knowledge that Phil and Graham have on that side of politics. So I couldn't make a decision one way or the other. Right, guys, I'm going to go. Have a wonderful evening. Let's keep our fingers crossed about the orange one. Don't forget to watch Tan and Max later on if you are available. And I will see you all tomorrow on the morning social. I might be lurking in the background, but I will be there. And then, Reagan starts at 8, doesn't he? So I'll probably watch Reagan Elite and then go over to Graham. And then, because I know that, we've got PMQs tomorrow as well. I might miss that because I might be running because I've got a race in 2 weeks, which is more important to me than watching PMQs. I can always catch up with that later. So yes, all pray for the big beautiful day. Yes, Goddess, please, let's have the big beautiful day. Come on, Goddess, let's start fixing some of this world. All right, guys, have a wonderful evening. Blessed be. Mwah.